How's it going, everyone? It's Ben Foggins, Media Corner, back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw. This time it's going to be on the 2024 psychological horror film, and that is Heretic. In this film, we follow two young religious women who are played by Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, and they've been drawn into a game of cat and mouse in the house of a strange man that's played by Hugh Grant. So that's pretty much the story of Heretic. When I saw the trailer for this movie, this one did look really interesting since this was A24's latest horror film, and you guys may know already, I tend to enjoy their horror films quite a bit, with films such as Hereditary, Talk to Me, and even the X series as well. Although there are a few of their horror films that they've made over the years that tend to be really divisive amongst critics and audiences, like films such as Midsommar, Beau is Afraid, and Men, and so on. But I was still really looking forward to this movie nonetheless, though. And this is another A24 film that's being directed by a duo of directors, in which we've had a fair amount of their films that's being made by duo directors, like the Daniels, who did Swiss Army Man and Everything Everywhere All at Once, my favorite A24 film of all time. And we even had like the Filippo twins last year, who did a movie which was Talk to Me, which I had a blast with that film last year. And for this one, this is directed by Scott Beck and Bryan, in which they are known for being the writers of A Quiet Place, which is one of my favorite horror films of the last decade. And they directed the film before, which they did last year, which was 65 with Adam Driver, which you guys may know how I feel about that film, because I wasn't really a fan of that movie in the slides. I found that film to be just an overall a boring yet forgettable film. But I was still really intrigued to see what they were going to be doing here with A24 here, since they were crafting a new horror film together here. And I did check out this movie the next day after it was released in my area, which it came out the same day as Juror Number 2 in my area, which I saw that first. And so I saw this film the next day, and I saw this one at me job for free in a really packed screening, and even a friend of mine was there, and we both saw this film together. And after seeing this whole movie here, it is safe to say that A24 here has definitely crafted another horror film I can consider being a blast here, because this movie was indeed an awesome watch here from beginning to end. What I really loved out of this movie is the script, because the script here for this film is just well tightened, and yet it plays out so smartly here, because this whole film here is basically a dialogue heavy horror film yet, and yet it is also one I can consider being a very slow burn as well. And I thought all of that was well played together through the majority of this film here, through the overall conversations that goes on within this movie between Hugh Grant and these two girls that we do follow within this movie here, where they do talk about faith and religion and power, which I thought all of that was well explored here through its overall subject matter that the film tackles on here through the majority of this movie here. And there are often times where the dialogue can be really terrifying for a few scenes that does play off of, where it does represent a few scares here, which there are a few jump scares in the film here, which I thought they were pretty effective here, even though there isn't a whole lot of that here, because most of this movie mostly relies on the dialogue here, because again, this is a very heavy dialogue and horror film here. And there are even times where the dialogue can be really funny here, when we see Hugh Grant using a few pop culture references, and he uses them to basically use them as anything for like that's part of like faith or religion or anything like that. When he mentions like fast foods and like board games like Monopoly, which I didn't really expect that, but most of those scenes were generally really funny here. Although there are times where I kind of felt a few questions in the film here kind of felt like unanswered, and I kind of felt the film could have explored a little bit more into that, which is it's mostly in the third act of the film, and that's the only gripe I can only pick out with the movie. But in terms of performances here, Hugh Grant, who is the lead star of the film here, he is spectacular in this film. Yeah, he's so jovial in the film here, where he's like effortlessly charming and charismatic, and yeah, he's like a chilled out guy, but he is like also so evil and very sinister, and I thought he managed to play all that here throughout the majority of this film so well here, where he's like both those things through the majority of this film here. And again, I would even say this is one of his best performances he's given of his career here. And these two girls who are played by Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East are both great together, and they are pretty different from each other here, and they do bounce off pretty well here together within this movie from the way they are being presented as in this film, because Sophie Thatcher's like a hard-edged girl, and Chloe East is kind of like an innocent, shy girl, and yet she's kind of afraid to step into someone's shoes to be a lot more better than she is and all that. And when it comes to the direction by Scott Beck and Bryan, it is a very well made film here, and I love the camera tricks that they used here, which I thought all that was really cool here for various scenes that goes on in the film, like when we see like a miniature house and all that, and through some of the creepy stuff that goes on within this movie, which I thought all of that was just really cool here, and I really loved all of that here through the majority of this movie. And in the end, guys, Heretic, this is definitely an awesome religious horror film here, and as I said, this is definitely another awesome A24 horror film I've seen in years, yeah. And if you're a fan of A24 horror films, or you're a fan of like Hugh Grant as an actor, I could definitely say this is definitely a great popcorn treat for yourself. So that's pretty much all to say about Heretic. I'm gonna give Heretic 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, truly another blast here from A24 here in terms of horror films here. And this is definitely another one of my favorite horror films to come out this year here as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After I Saw review on Heretic. And let me know what you think of this movie if you have seen this already, or if you just recently checked this out. Did you have a blast with this, or was this not your popcorn treat? As always, thank you guys so much for watching. And this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.